Okay, hi, hello. If you are in my Wednesday classes, let's skip the bell work because there's not enough time. If you're in my Thursday classes, I hope you guys get your notebooks back, and why don't you take out your bell work and answer the question and discuss with a neighbor. Sub, if you want to give them like 5 or 10 minutes, go ahead. Cool. Okay, pause the video right here if you're still doing your bell work. You're probably going to need to pause the video a lot because people will need to like fill in the blanks and write down what I'm saying. Anyway, welcome to Unit 5, everybody. We're finally out of Unit 4A and B and C and D. And now we're on a brand new unit, Unit 5, and it's called Public Policy. Public policy is, and I think I want everyone to stop and write down this definition of public policy somewhere on those fill-in notes you grab by the door. Probably the top of the paper would be a good place. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, but it's not happening. I'm just letting you know why I'm making a weird scrunchy face. Okay. Public policy is an intentional course of action followed by the government in dealing with some problem or matter of concern. So there's a problem like healthcare, there's a problem like airlines, there's a problem like pollution, and public policy is what is the government's policy when it comes to that issue. Kind of like laws that are passed and regulations and that kind of thing, and agencies and all that stuff. So I want you to pause the video if you're not done writing down this definition on the top of your paper. You might want to write down, this is kind of like laws, kind of like, that's an R, regulations. Cool? Cool. So today we're going to talk about 5.1, cost-benefit analysis of 4 different types of policies. And we're writing on fill-in notes. Here we go. Okay, first of all, let's start by defining the word cost. Everything costs something. We'll talk about that in econ, but a cost is any burden. Now this might be money or it might not be money. Whether it's real or perceived, sometimes people think they're paying a cost that a group must bear. For instance, federal child care programs, so like let's say I'm poor and I need to put my kid in daycare and the government helps me with that. Everyone's paying for that through taxes, so there's the cost. What about there was a time in the 70s we had desegregated schools, but like the black schools were still black and the white schools were still white, so we started out a program of busing black kids into white schools in order to achieve desegregation faster. What's the cost of that? Well, taxes for the buses, but also, and this is kind of, I don't know, racist or something, but the psychological stress put on white families by having their schools changed so drastically. And then how about tariffs? It's a good time to talk about tariffs because we haven't talked much about them in this unit. I want you to write a definition for tariffs on the left-hand side of your paper. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods. So like let's say that France makes some wonderful bottle of wine. We make that bottle of wine cost more because it's made and bottled in France and shipped to the US, and we want to encourage people to buy US products. So a tariff is a tax on imported goods. So what's the cost of a tariff? Higher prices for those goods. Okay, on the other side of cost is benefits. A benefit is any satisfaction, might be money, might not be money, that a group will enjoy from a policy. So we'll look at those same 3 things. Federal child care programs, lower child care for parents that don't make a lot of money, so cheaper child care. How about the busing? An improvement in opportunity for African American students, greater racial harmony eventually. And tariffs, how about more jobs for American workers, more profits for American businesses? So costs and benefits. Okay, costs and benefits can either be widely distributed or narrowly concentrated. In other words, who's paying this thing? Is it like all citizens? Then it's widely distributed. Is it only some small groups are paying? Then it's narrowly concentrated. I'll give you some examples. Here's some widely distributed costs. Like everybody pays income tax. Everybody pays into Social Security. Everybody pays for farm subsidies, whether you realize it or not. Okay, that's everybody does that, so it's wide. Okay, you might want to be marking up your paper, doing stuff like I'm doing. Social Security, wide. How about narrow costs? let's say that we tell a factory that they need to fix their whatever you call it, like exhaust system, so they're not polluting so much. Who has to pay? Who has to pay to keep the environment clean? Just the factory itself or the factory owner. So that's a narrow cost. Or how about the rich people paying way more taxes or capital gains taxes? That's a narrow cost because it's just on the wealthy. How about wide benefits? Wide benefits. Social Security is a wide benefit. Strong army is a wide benefit. Clean air is a wide benefit. So let's look at the clean air one. We had, like, I might give you some examples of like phrases on the study guide and stuff. So what is a narrow cost? How about making the factory owner fix his factory? What is a wide benefit? Having clean air for everybody. Hold on a second. Okay, another wide benefit would be our highways. Everybody benefits from those, whether you're rich or poor. How about narrow benefits? Narrow benefits are farm subsidies. So a lot of us pay extra taxes so that, like, you know, dairy farmers can survive, and the only ones that benefit from those taxes are dairy farmers. So it's kind of a small group of people. How about tariffs? For the wine example, like only the wine industry would benefit, and that kind of stuff. So you should know these keywords. If I got a highlighter, I might be highlighting widely distributed costs, narrow concentrated costs, and have an idea just from the phrasing of this, like, okay, narrow benefits, that's like milk farmers, or narrow costs, that's like a factory owner having to fix his pollution thing. Okay, now we're going to get into 4 types of policies. The good news with this stuff, guys, is that this is more of a background thing. You do not really need to memorize this stuff for this unit, thankfully. So it's more of just like common sense and, you know, how does America work? So let's start with A. Majoritarian policies involve wide costs and wide benefits. So majoritarian, everyone participates. So Social Security, everyone participates. Paying into taxes for the Army, National Defense, everyone participates. These are not dominated by interest groups because everyone benefits, and like, why would you have an interest group if everybody benefits? And there's not a lot of debate about these things because everyone kind of likes this thing. You should probably know what this phrase means. A lot of times these things become a sacred cow. A sacred cow is a phrase that we use, it's one of our vocab terms, for a program that shall not be touched. Like, no, it's like a death sentence if a politician says, I think we should get rid of Social Security. Like, you're not going to win an election if you say you want to get rid of Social Security. Or I think we should destroy the Army, get rid of the Army. That's not a popular thing to do. So that's a sacred cow. It's kind of a sarcastic phrase. All right, another type of policy is interest group policies. They involve narrow concentrated cost and narrow benefits. So if I'm an interest group, these are the type of policies that I pursue. So they affect parties. The affected parties are small enough, and the cost and benefits are great enough to warrant an interest group to participate. Okay, another type of policy is client policies. These have wide distributed costs and narrow benefits. So everybody pays, but very few people benefit. This is like farm subsidies, airline or trucking regulation, pork barrel bills. So everybody pays and very few people benefit. So we're going to build a museum to Eastvale cows or something. The whole United States would pay if it was a pork barrel project, but only Eastvale would benefit. And how much we would benefit about a cow museum, I don't know. So this is another one where interest groups would want to participate. And it's pretty controversial because everybody's paying for this, but very few people are benefited. So therefore, these are more likely to be like fought about. You know, people might not like it. And a lot of times I would say payers are unaware that they're even paying these costs. Like, did you know you're paying dairy subsidies to the farmers down the street so that they can survive? Like, did you know we're paying taxes for that? You might not. Okay, the last one is entrepreneurial policies. So I know this is getting tedious here, but don't worry, we don't have to memorize this. Entrepreneurial policies involve narrow cost and wide benefits. So consumer product safety, or like, for example, if you tell a company that makes a product that has like lead paint and you say you have to change the lead paint, it's going to make kids sick. The company pays the cost, to change the lead paint, but like we all benefit. So narrow cost, and we all benefit. So I mean, reading all this stuff is kind of like a bit much, but for example, Ralph Nader was like this. He wrote a book saying that cars were dangerous and that we should have seat belts, and sure enough, the book got popular and people thought it was a good idea, and so it was a narrow cost. Car makers had to install seat belts, but we all benefited because we all got seat belts. These are entrepreneurial policies. That's it. Just a little bit of common sense to say who pays taxes and who benefits and what are the different types of policies. Cool?